Hey guys, it's Donald, the solo RPG guy here. Sorry I haven't uploaded a whole lot of videos lately, but life has gotten in the way. Crazy work schedule, for one. Number two, I was able to actually play games with real people, so that was a nice change of pace. And number three, I had to go spend a week out of town because I was attending my brother's wedding. But while I was there, I was perusing through DriveThru RPG, and there was a set of solo rules for one of the game systems I liked and would like to try out. I only have the PDFs for. I don't have the books yet. And I read through the article or the book, and it had a simple oracle, and it had a way of keeping track of certain things, but it was nothing really great or outstanding. But in the back, it had these lists of tips and tricks to help with the solo RPG guy, or in your case, the solo RPG man or woman. In any case, I figure I'd share these with you because when we do solo RPG, there's a lot of things that, come into play, and some people have difficulty doing the solo RPG thing, and hopefully some of these tips or tricks might help you. So let's just start off. The first thing is you do not want to ask too many questions. Settle the key facts and let your imagination fill the rest. For example, the Oracle does not replace skill rolls. Just because guards exist does not mean that you see them. And do not ask questions like, can I pick the lock? It's what your professions and skills are for. So if there's a lock there, and the game has a mechanic for picking locks, don't ask the Oracle if you can pick the lock. You can try to pick the lock. And that's what skills are there for. Some people have a tendency in the real RPG world of over-rolling dice. Well, this is probably the equivalent thereof. You don't want to ask too many questions of the Oracle. You just want to establish the situation. Can I climb the wall? Yeah, of course you can try to climb the wall. Can I pick the pocket? Yeah, of course you can try to pick the pocket. You don't need the Oracle to do that. The game has skills that allow you to do such things. So do that. Don't ask the Oracle unless you really absolutely positively have to. Excuse me. The next step is do not create more NPCs than you need. Sometimes meeting the same people again and again will increase the sense of continuity in your games. I pretty much have a copy of every NPC I've met, but I do not have a giant book of NPCs. I only have the core NPCs that I meet on a regular basis. The innkeeper, the guy at merchant that I trade my stuff with, etc., etc. You don't need a ton of NPCs for every occasion. Just because you walk into a bar with 30 people, you don't have to have a write-up for all 30 people. Just have a write-up with those you're going to interact with. Alright, next step. If you have more than 4 unresolved plots, see if you can resolve one or more of them, or if they can be interlinked into something more complex or sophisticated. You don't want a whole lot of open-ended, unresolved situations. You want to get those situations resolved so you can move to the next stage of the story. Remember, the whole thing is about telling a story. And it's like watching a movie. If we watch Lord of the Rings and we never get to see Frodo throw the ring into the volcano, what was the point of watching the movie? If we don't get to see Aragorn become king, what was the point of Aragorn's plot in there? Things like that. You don't want to leave too many things unresolved. If it's part of the story you're trying to tell, resolve it. Basically, is what it needs to be. If you roll something on your table and it makes absolutely no sense, just completely ignore it. The tables are there to help you, not hinder you. And at the same point, you don't want to rely too much on every table. You don't want to roll on a table for every little thing. Some things, just keep the standard quo. You're already in charge of too many things. You're trying to run your character or characters. You're trying to handle the weather, the movement, the NPCs, the monsters, the traps, everything. Don't give yourself more work than you have to. If you're playing a prepared module, then let the module override roles like the scene objective. In prepared modules or adventures, make sure you are familiar with the content beforehand. I'm just going to take that at its word. I don't do pre-planned adventures. I make my own. Next step, try to start your solo games in a moment of high action or intensity. You don't need to meet the other PCs in the tavern or get to know each other. The first scene of a rooftop chase immediately throws up opportunities. The first scene of you're at the cave entrance and the goblins are there. You don't need to sit there and role play how your party got together unless it is really significant to the story. You do not need to play every scene. If you want to skip forward to the next adventure because you've exhausted this one, you can do that. Very simple. I mean, there's sometimes when I hop into a dungeon roll or a dungeon crawl, the charts come up and say, it's a very small dungeon. Despite the fact I may have heard a rumor of such and such being in that dungeon, I go through the dungeon and I don't find that such and such. Well, obviously, then the rumor was a lie. That's the way I interpret it. Whoever gave me that information was wrong. And in a role-playing game, that also happens. I always throw my party off when I'm actually DMing a real game because I take things from the perspective of the NPC. So, for example, a farmer who sees a goblin in the woods does not tell the party, oh yeah, I saw a goblin in the woods. If he's a simple farmer and never seen a goblin, well then that could be, it could be a goblin, it could be a minor demon, it could be some other weird abomination creature. The farmer don't know. It isn't like the farmer's carrying around a copy of the player's handbook in his backpack or whatever and knows everything that's ever printed. So take things from the perspective of the NPC you meet. Sometimes the NPC will give you wrong information. That happens in pretty much every game anyway, so continue on with that. The next thing you need to understand is playing solo is hard. The game was written for an entire party in mind. To that end, the following tips will make your character a bit more robust. You should pick and choose which ones you want to employ. I do not recommend that you use all of them, as you can find the game becomes a little one-sided. But you can starting with higher stats, giving your character an additional 2+1s in their starting stats. Or you can start at a higher level. I did that because I started my character off at a slightly higher level when I first started playing solo, because not only was I playing solo in the fact that, I was only one there and I was DM and player, but I was also only running one character. In a normal game, 2 or 3 goblins against a party ain't nothing. When you're playing solo with just one character, all of a sudden 2 goblins become a major challenge. I have lost many characters to simple 2 goblin or 2 orc or something that a party should be able to handle. Remember, you are not playing a party if you're playing just a solo character. Now, if you are playing a party, then okay, continue on. The 2 goblins shouldn't be much of a deal. Retreat or flee. If you are in a desperate situation, trying to ask the oracle if there's a possible way out or escape route, you will still need to survive the escape attempt, but this way your defeat in combat will move the story forward and keep you alive. Me personally, I have a tendency to forget about this. I like fight. My characters usually fight to the death anyway, so that usually winds up happening. Either I succeed or I die. But I'm going to try to implement this more often. So these are just some simple tips and tricks to help you out. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. You can just pause the video and read these over. Excuse me. Feel free to post your comments or questions. I will try to get to them as soon as possible. And until then, happy gaming.